Everyone wants to be a millionaire, but the question is, what stocks can get you there? And most importantly, what's the plan? How much should you invest now and how much should you put in each month after that? Well, I've got something that can be quite helpful for you. Let's go ahead and break it down. I have done something interesting. It's not just what I think are the top 5 stocks that can help you be a millionaire, which I am going to give you. I have done the research to give you exactly how much you may want to consider investing and showed you exactly how much you would have made had you done it just a few years ago. Before I give that to you, I'm going to set the scene, but I'm also going to give you a warning. All right? What is that warning? Warning number 1, it ain't overnight. All right? Some of us just have this mythological, okay, this myth that you can just put $1 in the stock market and you get a lotto ticket and you're gonna be a millionaire overnight. Okay, no, that's not gonna be the case. I'm sorry. This is not going to be an overnight fix. That's not how the stock market really works, okay? That's not what this video is. Number 2, I'm going to give you the amounts that you are going to need to invest. They are not impossible amounts, but there's going to be somebody, I don't know who that person's going to be, that's going to say, hey, that's not my budget right now. This is not going to work for me. If you feel that this is out of your budget, guess what? This can still work for you. It just may not, it may take longer. Okay, and that is totally fine. When I started, and you want to stay tuned for this because I'm going to tell you at the end, I'm going to tell you why it's going to work for you, because it would not have worked for me the first 2 years for me. But there's this very specific reason as to why. All right, those are my 2 warnings. Let's hop right into the stocks. The first one is one you have heard of before, and in fact, 2 of these you've heard me talk about before. The rest may have been like peppered in. But the first one is Netflix. I'll get that one out of the way first. Up 40% in the last 6 months. Up 80% over the last year. You've heard me talk a lot about Netflix. I just said that a few seconds ago. Here's the thing. If you, and this is for all these stocks, if you put in $1,000 in Netflix first, and then just $500 a month after that. If you did that 15 years ago, today, well, the 1st of January 2025, right? So we're talking, was it 2010? Yeah, so January 1, 2010, technically it was a holiday, we get it, but you guys get the point. You put it in 2010, and you do $500 a month after that, January of 2025, you would have $649,000 had you invested in Netflix and not touched it. Now, you might be thinking, well, you talking right around approximately $650,000. Kevin, that's not $1 million. What are you talking about? Here's the thing. I think Netflix can continue to grow because that's the past, right? We're talking about in the future. Right, if you didn't do that, then you don't have $1 million. We're talking about what's going to happen in the future. And here's why I think that's the case. We know that, most of us know, I don't know about you, right? So one, Netflix has already grown 80% in the last 6 months. I don't think it's going to do, in the last year. I don't think it's going to do that every single year for the next 10 or 15 years. However, one, you could invest more if that is in your budget. Okay, if that is in your budget, you could just put up more, and if it grows in the last trajectory, then you may hit that a lot sooner. Number 2, I do think Netflix is in position to grow a lot more here in the future. That's because they've opened up lanes for commercials. They're doing a lot more live events. I think that they could open up and do a Super Bowl here in the next 10 to 15 years, which is something they have not been able to do before, right? We saw what they did with the Beyonce show and the boxing matches and things like that. That is a new avenue and has given them a lot more juice and excitement than they have had in the past. So that's the lens I am looking at. So yes, I do think it can help you to get there in the next 10 to 15 years, perhaps. If not, I'll take $650,000. And for those who may not be as math savvy, investing $91,000, that's the first $1,000, plus $500 a month for 15 years is $91,000. You put in $91,000 at the end, you would have had roughly $650,000. I would say it's a pretty good return. All right. Next one here is Broadcom. Now, Broadcom would have given you, or you would have had rather, at the end of this entire thing, which was January 2025, that's now 1.2 million. So if you didn't like that one, you got a million now, okay? Broadcom, we talked about it enough. I think it's one of the Batman stocks. If you don't know what I mean by Batman stocks, check out this video right here. This replaced the Magnificent Seven, one of the largest companies, mostly in the tech space. Did a whole video explainer about that, and I feel like I've talked a little bit about Broadcom, but that's one of them ones, okay? And you know, I could have gone with Tesla and, you know, Microsoft and Apple and Nvidia and all those, and those are all fine, all well and fine, but I want to throw those in there as well. One quick thing for those who are like, hey, you know, I don't have $1,500 a month is a lot. Don't forget, you can kind of break that down. So $500 may sound like a lot. It was definitely a lot in 2010 when I was still in college, okay? But $500 a month is roughly $125 a week, right? So that may feel more attainable, which is roughly $16 a day, give or take, depending on the month, with some, you know, some change here and there. So do what you got to do if that needs to be you. But also, don't forget that if you, I'll put it this way, okay? If you can't do $500 a month, that's fine, okay? Do what you can, do whatever it is that you can do, okay? And that's because if it's only $100 a month, if it's only $20 a month, if it's only $20 period, that is, I'm looking at it now, Broadcom, again, up 45% in the last 6 months, up 88% over last year. So 88% of 100 is better than 0. So at least I would have done something. I would have gotten closer. If I'm only investing $500 that first year and $100 a month, and it may not take me, I may not get there in 15 years, right? It may be 20, it may be 25, whatever it's going to be. I'd rather be a millionaire in 25 years than not being there at all. I think that is the way that you should approach it. Start the journey to reach the end. You will not reach the end if you do not start. That's it, right? Think of it like a race. It's going to be you in the finish line. And if you don't take that first step, that finish line ain't going to get no closer. Okay, so regardless of what your income is, you want to start based on whatever your budget does allow. And if your salary increases, then you can increase that amount. All right. Now, as we move on to the next one, I'm not as excited about this one, but ServiceNow would have helped you to do the job, and I think it can improve in the future. ServiceNow up 38% in the last 6 months, up 44% over last year. Had you done this one, you would have had $568,000. So a little more than halfway there, but it does have some flexibility, and there have been some spikes in this one. So it would have gotten you halfway there, but again, of all the ones, I'll probably put this one at the bottom of the list. Next year, so I'm a lot more excited about. I put my own money into this one. You guys, I put my own money into a lot of these actually, but Arista Networks, I've talked about that one. You've seen me put money into it. The whole video about the money that I put into each of those stocks and how much money that I made. If you have not seen that video, we can talk about that at the end. But Arista Networks up 41% in the last 6 months, up 76% over last year, $852,000. If you did this, the exact same amounts over the last 15 years, $852,000 is what you'd be sitting on right about now. A stock that I don't think many of us had heard of. At least me, I had not heard of them 15 years ago. Perhaps I should have gone back in time and heard of this stock and invested exactly that amount of money, and you know, things might have been different for your boy. But in either case, this one I think does have a lot more momentum and will continue to be close to this pace. I cannot say it's going to be on the exact same copy and paste path, right? But many companies do tend to do this, absent a true transformation and evolution of the entire market, which is not unheard of, right? But usually they do track around these spaces. The next one here, actually this next one here is above 1 million. In fact, it's above $2 million. Before I give you that one, don't forget our 2025 workshop does close on Friday the 17th. So you want to make sure you check that out. If you're looking for ways to research more about the stock market, avoid bad investments, You want to try and avoid those as much as possible, because not everybody knows exactly how to research and analyze the stock market in a way that makes sense. I'll show you my 20-minute investing process. What are the best areas to invest? What are the areas you may want to avoid? And what happens if the stock market does crash in 2025? Cover it all. That link is right here. All right. This one is Axon Enterprises. It is in the defense manufacturer space, and they've actually been quite solid for quite a while, though it has had a spike in the last few months, up 90% over the last 6 months, up 134% over the last year. $2.6 million is how much you would have made had you, or how much you would have rather, had you bought this one 15 years ago and just consistently put in that $500 a month. So it's not just a stock that did well very, very recently. Again, 2.6 million. Previous to this, the best stock was Broadcom, which we know is a very good company. This one more than doubles that amount. And again, I am very high on these defense contractors and what they may do over really the next 5 years. But this is also one you definitely want to keep an eye on. It's not the only stock that I would keep an eye on at this point in time. If you are looking for companies that will continue to do well, not just in the next perhaps 10 to 15 years that can make you a millionaire, but what will do well, what we think will do well in 2025, you want to check out this video right here.